What's good, defenders? It's the night before a match, so you know what time it is. It's time for one more sleep. And this, a team we have already played once this season, but now we get them at BMO. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. J.R. Liebert, welcome to another Defenders of the Bank staple that is one more sleep. And I believe it's got the Topo Chico going over there. He's got the sweet hairdo going on right now, bud. I love it. Looks like it might have been a little bit of a long day for you. One Christian Philly Philemon.
Is it that obvious, really? I thought I did everything I could to look somewhat relaxed. It was a long day, which basically just ended about, a half hour ago. But here we are again, 2 days in a row, about to do one more sleep, a game tomorrow against the Loons, a pod on Thursday, a one more sleep on Friday, a game on Saturday, and a pod on Sunday. This is going to be a dynamite week of Defenders, no doubt about that. What's up, Oso? Oscar in the chat.
Yeah, two excellent matches, by the way, coming up. Two teams that we get to watch and we love to watch play. And this one, Minnesota United, one of the very few clubs above us in the standings, although not by much, but that is a little misleading. They've only played 13 matches so far this season, so they've got a ways to go, but averaging almost 2 points per match this season. Philly, Minnesota United under Eric Ramsey becoming one of the best clubs in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they've been an exciting team to watch, and you mentioned it, that only 13 games played. That is the fewest out of the teams in the top four. They've only lost two, which is also pretty darn incredible. But even more incredible than that is they've got a pretty darn good record on the road. Now, where have we heard that before? Oh, yes, when we played Vancouver. So another team that's really good on the road comes in the BMO Stadium, and they've got a great run of form, Scarf. I mean, unbeaten over the last 6 games. It's safe to say that Minnesota United is rocking and rolling under their new head coach. I miss Adrian Heath and all his antics and shenanigans. I mean, he would come into the press conferences as sweaty as some of the players would, but Minnesota United has a great operator and a really good team, and a very balanced team, by the way, if you look at their scoring. So, hats off to them. They could potentially, it's not going to happen, but if God forbid something goes Irie, that's their 100th win in MLS across all competitions. So Minnesota United's a team to really look out for.
Yeah, taking them a little bit longer than us to get there, but they are on the precipice. Also, look, dare I say, Adrian Heath, Adrian Heath, Philly, they may have been underachieving a little bit under the last couple of seasons with Adrian Heath, because you look at the talent on Minnesota United. You go from their keeper, Dane St. Clair, all the way through to everybody on their front line, incredibly well organized on the back line with Michael Boxall and all the veteran presence they have there on the back line. Dare I say, they're starting to use all of that talent in a much better way under Eric Ramsey. You mentioned it. They spread the offensive load out, Giggity, over the course of several different players. So it's just one of those teams that, look, I'm excited to watch this team play each and every week because I like watching them play. Some of my favorite players in the league, Bongi Hlongwane, Sangbin Jong, and Tanny, who has been incredible over the last few matches as well. It's certainly going to be a lot of firepower at BMO Stadium. What we have done since April 13th and what they have done since April 13th, Philly, we've played 9 matches over that span. They've only played 7, but April 13th was the last time that they lost a match. So you mentioned riding high on this 6-game unbeaten streak. They'll come in a little bit better rested, although they just played as well. So I don't think legs will be too much of a factor in this one. And Philly, the big news that we heard out of the news conference, the very last question asked by Josh, was the health of one Ilie Sanchez and Kai Kamara. You all right there, buddy? You good?
Yeah, my contact thing. I'm fine.
Ilie Sanchez and Kai Kamara, according to Steve Cherundolo, they will both be available to contribute, is what I believe he said, tomorrow. So it'll be nice to get a little bit of depth back. But Philly, I ranted and raved last podcast. We will certainly be missing somebody in our midfield.
Yeah, and it's good that Kai is going to be available as Ilie because Edward Atuesta, who, by the way, along with Jesus David Murillo, both got yellow cards in that match against the Loons just a couple of weeks ago where we got our butts kicked 2-0. Yeah, Atuesta pulled the red card in the last game, so as a result of that, he will not be playing. And another player to also keep in mind that will not be playing and should not be playing because he was selected by the U.S. men's national team head coach Greg Berhalter, one Timothy Tillman. Their training camp begins in D.C. today. So I imagine Timothy Tillman must have flown across the country to meet up with training camp. Timothy Tillman, the only representation of LAFC on the U.S. men's national team. So with Edward Atuesta out and Timothy Tillman gone, we're going to need some help in that midfield. Maybe we're looking at another wild formation going into this game.
Something that Steve Cherundolo said was to look out for minutes for Eric Dueñas. So that'll be interesting. In the press conference, Josh asked about our depth and if we were starting to round some guys into form so that we would be playing a little bit better and a little bit deeper in our roster. And he did mention by name Eric Dueñas as someone who could look to get some extra minutes. And the fact that Eric Dueñas plays midfield, I think that could play into his hands very well. I don't believe Ilie will be available to go a full 90 in this match, knowing how we also have a match coming up on Saturday against FC Dallas. So I think we're going to need Ilie over both of those matches. But it'll be really interesting to see what we do if there are any of those short-term contracts coming up, if we get another Luca Bambino or a Tommy Musto or somebody of those of the likes of those
Tommy
guys.
Musto and Luca Bambino, forget about it. We got the Bananos, we got the Lucchese's, we got the families at BMO Stadium, Scarf. Stugatz, forget about it. Huh?
All we need is Luca Della Valle to get back to good health, and we're going to have an Italian back line that's going to be formidable. Maybe we can convince Giorgio to come out for one match. Just come back.
No, the Don never gets seen in public. I
don't know. Hey, the Don's going to be seen in public quite a bit commenting on the Euros. That should be a lot of fun to see what happens. By the way, great article on ESPN for those of you U.S. men's national team supporters out there. They went 150 players deep. They went 15 players deep on 10 different positions. And let me tell you, to see guys like Timothy Tillman, the number 6th ranked offensive midfielder that we have, or attacking mid that we have for Team USA. I like that. King Lachero, we can talk about the Mets in a minute if you'd like.
I also like AA's comment. They're good guys. They're good fellas. Are they friends of mine or are they the friend of ours? You know, we gotta differentiate between the two.
It just reminds me of the Good Pigeons from Animaniacs, man. I absolutely loved those guys back in the day. All right, look, we got a lot to talk about with Minnesota United and LAFC. Philly, shall we get in to our players to watch, keys to the match, and score predictions? You ready?
Yeah, real quick, though, I do want to make one quick note. Minnesota United's last game against Colorado was more of a loss than a draw. They go on the road to Dick's Sporting Goods Park, right? And we know in a mile-high city, that could be somewhat of a factor, the elevation scenario. I get fatigued when we go to Lake Arrowhead, and that's right around the same mile level. But a 3-3 game, in case you don't know, not as well played as one would think, because Minnesota United was up, if I'm not mistaken, by a score of 3-1, and they conceded a couple of late goals. So I would say keep that game in the back of your mind, because if we're really comparing the last two runs of form, I would say that we have the better one, because we didn't concede two goals late to pretty much walk away with 1 point when we deserved 3.
Yeah, I mean, look, we did concede 2 goals the last time we played them. That was in their house, unfortunately. I think you had mentioned it, Robin Lod and Bongi Hlongwane, both scoring and keeping us off the score sheet. We are a much better offensive team club since then, of course. And again, they've got this young guy, Eric Ramsey, youngest coach in MLS right now. He's really got them going in the right direction. So we'll see what happens there. But let's get in to our players to watch. Let me get that up. Here we go. And we'll start with mine. And I'm going with Sangbin Jong. I think Sangbin Jong is one of the most exciting players in Major League Soccer to watch, named to the team of the match day for last week. And I just think Sangbin is a guy who is super exciting. He is as good as it gets in terms of wiggle with the ball. He's got a little bit of sizzle. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Kike Oliveira or a Brian Rodriguez, but he seems to be a little bit more attack-oriented, a little bit more goal-minded, I think, than either of those players. They like to do their damage out on the wings, where Sangbin will gladly come through the middle and try the very same things. Sangbin is a lot of fun to watch, and a player who I think, after we watch play for 90-plus minutes or so, we're really going to have a new appreciation for. And I think our hero from the last game will be continuing to do what he has done all season, provide those little glue moments and those moments of Matty magic. Mateusz Bogusz is going to have another performance that will hold our club together. You mentioned no Timothy Tillman, Ilya Sanchez, probably on a minutes restriction. Eric Duenas needing to come in off of the bench most likely and provide minutes. And no Edward Atuesta. I mean, wow, talk about a depleted midfield. That is going to leave Matty to run the show there in the middle. And look, he's got a ton of experience now. There's no more excuses. He's our Swiss Army knife. I know he's Polish, but still he's our Swiss Army knife, able to play a bunch of different positions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the minutes and the performance from Matty Bogusz.
I like it, Scarf. I like it. Two very good players to keep an eye on. As far as mine go, I'm all about the Finns when it comes to Minnesota United. I like the Finnish fellows, but it's not Teemu Pukki, somebody who I've been ranting and raving about ever since he left Norwich City to become a member of Minnesota United. I'm going to talk about his running mate in that of Robin Lod. Robin Lod is a player that can contribute to a team in so many different ways, whether he's going to be charged with scoring goals, whether he's going to be charged with maintaining assists and being a playmaker. Lod is the second leading scorer on Minnesota United with 4 goals. He is their top assist man with 10. That puts him tied number 2 in Major League Soccer with FC Cincinnati's Luciano Acosta, and just 2 behind Lionel Messi, who has 12. Robin Lod is a guy who can get things done, and we've said in the past Emmanuel Reynoso's been their guy. Well, Emmanuel Reynoso's a schmuck, and he's not on this Minnesota United team because anytime he goes home, he gets into trouble. And you know what? I have no sympathy for him. He just did some dumb stuff, but as this team has done this season, they've clearly moved on from Reynoso. It's Robin Lod's team, and he's taking care of business in the most effective of ways for the Loons.
Billy, I am a little jealous about Emmanuel Reynoso. He found that bag of money that I've been looking for forever. He also just happened to find guys with like guns and stuff while he found the bag of money. So I don't know what's going on.
You won't even swear on a podcast. What are you going to do with a bag of money and a gun?
Listen, I don't want the gun. I just want the bag of money, man.
We all want the bag of money. The question is, if you would have found the bag of money, what would you have done? Would you have left it there, or would you have taken it and mildly feared for your life?
I would have run in the other direction from those guys that Emmanuel Reynoso was hanging out with. That's for sure. I do want to mention one other player to watch, Philly, on the LAFC side of these things, and a player who I think will be getting minutes. Sergei Palencia is on yellow card accumulation watch. He has 4. So watch out for Sergei Palencia. If he does get one in this match, he's been a little fiery lately. If he does get one in this match, he will be suspended for FC Dallas. So
yeah, let me finish up my thought with my player to watch too, though.
Oh, sorry. Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah. So you mentioned Matty Bogusz. He's doing his thing. Kike Oliveira would have been a pretty good pick because offensively he's been doing his thing. But with the way Minnesota United lines up defensively, and I'll hold off on my thoughts because it's part of my keys to the game, I do think Denis Bouanga is going to be the key to unlocking the defense and finding opportunities, passing lanes, channels, and runs to make LAFC a dangerous side. I think he is due for more than just being a facilitator. And against a tough back line like Minnesota United, I think Denis Bouanga is the guy to break it.
Yeah, look, Denis Bouanga, never the wrong choice as far as I am concerned when it comes to players to watch for LAFC. That's for sure. All right, keys to the match. Look, something the exact opposite that I said last match against Atlanta United is what I'm saying this match for Minnesota United. I wanted to speed the ball up, keep the ball moving against Atlanta. It wound up not really being too much of a factor. They actually outpassed us, especially when they went down to 10 men. But something that I think we're going to need to do against Minnesota United is to actually slow the ball down a little bit. And this is going to be very interesting because this does seem to be a match that plays into the hands of one Ilie Sanchez. I don't think he'll be able to go 90, but maybe, just maybe, he was being kept out so that he could go maybe a good 70, 75, 80 minutes. I don't know. But this is a match tailor-made for Ilie Sanchez to be as good as he once was. I know he's been a little down this season. He hasn't quite created all the moments that we've come to expect from one Ilie Sanchez, and especially with no Eduardo Atuesta, needing a little bit of help from Eric Duenas. I don't know that Eric Duenas is that slow anything down kind of a guy. He's been very aggressive since, and obviously Matty likes to get forward. No Timothy Tillman potentially as well. It's going to be very interesting to see if we are able to slow the ball down, because what I know Minnesota wants to do is to get out and run. Sangbin with Bongi Hlongwane, and you mentioned guys like Robin Lod and Timu Puki. I mean, they've just got so many guys. Tani Oluwaseyi, he is another one who has been their leading goal scorer with 6. They want to move. And I think we have got to slow the ball down. The other one is simple. We got to own the boxes. We have to own the boxes. Our 18 and their 18 need to both become our 18. Defensively, look, we played very, very well defensively against Atlanta. Yes, there was the one moment by Daniel Rios where he pulled a Philly scarf and couldn't even get it on frame. But other than that, look, this bend but don't break defense led, and I didn't think I'd be saying this at the start of the season, led by Maxime Chanot. Maxime Chanot has been excellent for us, owning the air. I think with Kai Kamara coming back, potentially giving us more minutes, owning the air as well. I just think it's one of those things where we need to own the 18, slow the ball down. And look, this might be one of those grinded out kind of wins for LAFC that we've been able to do on the road a couple of times. I'm thinking more about that Seattle win last year on the road, Philly, that really kind of cemented things for us.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Frankfurt am Main in the chat. I know that saying. That's my dad, who's currently in Uzbekistan right now, and I would agree with him. Simply the best podcast ever. Thank you for tuning in, Dad. That's pretty darn cool.
Your dad's in Uzbekistan tuning in right now? I love that.
Yeah. From the mean streets of Tashkent in the house. It's pretty cool. You said it.
Cheers, Dad.
What was that?
I was just saying cheers to your dad. That's awesome.
Yeah. You said it. Chanot's doing his thing. Like, defensively, we've actually looked pretty good. I mean, if you go in over our stats, look, Hugo Lloris has put a 301-minute MLS shutout streak. We alluded to it on the pod last night, which is the third longest streak in LAFC history. The honor still belongs to Tyler Miller, 388 minutes between April 28th and May 19th, 2019. So defensively, we've actually picked up and looked pretty good. And it's a testament to how the defense has played. Our offense has been allowed to do its thing. So, I hear what you're saying there. Let's get into, I guess, my keys to the game. Hammer their back 5. This is why I picked Denis Bouanga. So in their last game against Colorado, a lot of the star players on Minnesota United were sat down. You had Hassani Dotson, who came off the bench, Fragapani, Hlongwane, Caden Clark was on the bench, Timu Puki was on the bench. Why? Because Minnesota United is preparing to come to LA to do battle against a team that actually matters. No disrespect to the Colorado Rapids, but let's face facts. Who's more of a team in Major League Soccer with Cloud who's had success? LAFC, definitely not Colorado. So you're going to have some more fresh legs from those guys. But in their defensive lineup, dude, they lined up with 5 people in their back line. Rosales, Paddleford, Boxall, Arriaga, and DJ Taylor were their line protecting Dane St. Clair. So if there's ever anybody that could go through one-on-one and break through a back line, it is going to be Denis Bouanga. He's going to hammer their back 5 by picking them apart, getting all the defenders, or at least a couple of them, to focus on him, finding those lanes, finding somebody, perhaps if Kai Kamara starts in that center forward position, that'll be the key. Or obviously Kiki Oliveira on the exact opposite side. I think if we could continue to hammer their back 5, that'll be our ways of finding goals. Martinez has a back injury. Now, you mentioned a fractured what, Scarf? You said this last night.
The only thing that I've heard regarding his injury is it has been described as a fracture in his back. So that's why it's taken him a while. I don't think we'll see him until late June is what I have been hearing at the earliest right now. Late June because of a back fracture.
Yeah, you like the segue, back injury, hammer their back 5. So, yes, that's my key to the game. That's the update on Martinez.
Yeah, and by the way, I went and did the math. Hopefully you guys all saw the tweet out there that I put out earlier. If you count stoppage time, which I count because it counts. If you score in stoppage time, it's not like you still have a scoreless streak in regulation. If you count stoppage time, Philly, we're up to 445 straight minutes in all competitions without giving up a goal, and we're up to 345 straight minutes in MLS competition. So we could be going over the 400 mark sometime right after the first half. So that's going to be kind of fun. We're doing pretty well defensively. But however, the reason why I say that is because I'm a jerk. I think right here, 2-1 LAFC. I think the scoring streak or the scoreless streak comes to an end. I do think Minnesota is good enough to bring their offense with them on the road. They have scored the exact same number of goals as we have this season, albeit over two fewer matches. So unfortunately for me, I do believe that Minnesota is going to score. I actually think this could be one, Philly, where Minnesota scores first and LAFC has to respond and does respond in kind. I do think we circle the wagons. I do think we rally the troops. And I do think that we come out of this with a 2-1 victory. But like I said, this is going to be a grind of a match. This is a very well coached, very well playing Minnesota United team with tons of talent all around the pitch. Veterans where they need leadership, stars where they need talent and scoring. And I think this is going to be a real litmus test for where LAFC is. We've done a wonderful job over these last 4 or 5 matches of kind of righting the ship, winning the matches that we should be winning. But this now is a real test to see if we are indeed a top 4 club in the West as currently constituted. We all know what's coming down the line, but I firmly believe that this is going to be a test that LAFC will pass, and we will take it 2-1.
I agree with you on a lot of fronts other than the score line. I do think that LAFC is going to continue their shutout streak. I think they're going to be far more defensive minded against this Minnesota United team. That being the case, look, 5 defenders in the back is going to be hard to score upon, but I do think that we break through. We do agree upon the score that LAFC would have. So we're both in the same ballpark. And yes, Minnesota United is a good test to see where we lie now. I think beating St. Louis on the road, beating Galaxy, those were some games that were really important to really identify where we are. But I mean, now we are about to play in what our 15th game of the season. So yes, this would be the litmus test. Team that's 4-1-1 on the road is going to come into our stadium where we're 5-0-2. They're not going to come into our house and push us around. I'm glad Pookie and Dotson and some of their players got some time off, because they're really going to be tested. And I'd hate to say it, this might not sound professional. I know we're professionals here, but they're going to get punked and they're going to get kicked around all across BMO Stadium. They'll get a couple of good looks at Hugo Lloris, but they're not going to be effective. We are going to shut them down and shut them out. We take 3 points. We add a 6th win at home, and we add 3 more points to our season.
All right, a couple of things to look forward to. I think, Philly, check your bank account, right? I'm pretty sure Leagues Cup money got taken out already, right?
I opted out, actually, because I'm going to be in Europe.
Oh, well, Leagues Cup money got taken out already. So for those of you that were looking at your bank account and wondering where some of your money went, Leagues Cup got taken out. And also, if you're interested, tomorrow is Armenian Heritage Night at BMO Stadium. You have to purchase a special ticket package to get the bucket hat that is being given away as part of that special ticket package. But also dropping today, it already dropped over on MLSsoccer.com, LAFC Team Store, some other really cool Armenian heritage items. They've got a real cool t-shirt. They've got a scarf, although I believe the scarf has sold out already online. They've got a couple of other really cool things. So check out LAFC's Team Store. It'll likely be available in HQ tomorrow if you're there at the match. Hopefully they'll have the scarves and everything else. But if you're looking for that bucket hat that LAFC has been advertising, make sure you buy the special ticket package so that you can get that bucket hat. And then, of course, Philly, we'll talk much more about it when we do one more sleep and we do our match against FC Dallas. I don't want to get y'all riled up again, Philly. But remember, it is Pride Night on June 1st. I don't know where Alhern went, but just want to remind everybody, Pride Night June 1st. So come out and support as well. With that, Philly's got 2-0. I'm the jerk that says we're going to actually give up a goal for the first time in quite a while. Philly, your final thoughts.
No, my final thoughts are, I told you, we're going to walk out 2-0, and it's going to be a glorious hump day, havoc kind of a victory. The last thing I do want to say, Scarf, I know every time I'll walk by you, the Foo Fighters song, There Goes My Hero, generally plays in between your ears. The reason I bring this up, though, is because Chris Shiflett of the Foo Fighters is going to be the honorary Falconer tomorrow. That's pretty darn cool. The Foo Fighters, rest in peace, Taylor, they're going to be playing in August. So Chris Shiflett's going to be out there. Shiflett's been a long-reigning member of the Foo, and who knows? Maybe we'll get a Dave Grohl appearance, or maybe a Pat Smear. Both of them obviously played with one of my favorite bands of the '90s, Nirvana. Who knows? That'll be kind of cool. So get to your seats early. This is a very cool honorary Falconer scenario. Not as cool as last time when you had Sean, but Chris Shiflett's a pretty cool person as well. And by the way, if you get there early enough, tailgate's obviously going to be going on, but the fields and Level Up will be open at 5:30 tomorrow. So if you get there early to try to beat the traffic, at least there'll be something to do. More importantly, bathrooms will be open.
Yeah, and just a reminder again, we know, okay, for all of you out there, we know the Mets lost both games of the doubleheader. You can stop DMing us. You can stop sending us your stories.
Mr. Met cradling his head in his hands and going like this. I've seen that.
We didn't score in the second game. We blew a lead in the first game. What do you expect? Right now, we suck. We're terrible.
What do you mean right now? What do you mean right now?
Hold on. Since Francisco Alvarez went down, we're 11-22. Before that, we were actually a very good baseball team. We were playing very well. But unfortunately, I was at the game where Francisco Alvarez went down and got hurt at Dodger Stadium. So I blame the Dodgers pretty much for this spiral all the way around. So that's all I got. Look, I say 2-1. Philly says 2-0. Get there early for the honorary Falconer. That's going to be a lot of fun. Armenian Heritage Night tomorrow, Pride Night June 1st. And we have cool outro music.